Oh hey, this is GamerX20 and welcome to Gaming Memories. Six episodes in and I already done a racing game, then a platformer game, and then a skateboarding game, followed by another skateboarding game, then a beat-em-up game, and finally another platformer game. So what's going to be for my 7th episode? I got it. How about a mediocre racing game? Sonic R. How did this game exist? Well, let me give you a brief history. Sonic needs no introduction. Sure, he's a laughingstock now and then, but back during the 90s, Sonic was the king of the 16-bit era. His first 3 games, 4 if you want to include Sonic and Knuckles, are one of the best games Sega has ever made, and became a cult classic. When the Genesis days were over and the next system, the Saturn, was on its way, Sega wanted a 3D Sonic game in their system. The game was called Sonic Extreme, and it was supposed to be released in late 1996, and was trying to compete with Super Mario 64 and Sony's new unofficial mascot, Crash Bandicoot. However, there were some slightly problems, and was in development hell. So instead, they just ported Sonic 3D Blast for the Saturn instead. It was not good, and was disappointed by fans, although it was decent if you had a 3D control pack. After that, they made a compilation of the first 4 games called Sonic Jam. It got a positive response because you actually controlled Sonic in a 3D environment for the first time. Even though we finally had a 3D environment, it was just too short and people were still waiting for Sonic Extreme. Then Sega and Sonic Team decides to team up with Traveler's Tales to make a Sonic racing game, and the results is Sonic R, the third and final Sonic game for the Saturn, released on November 18, 1997. Although it had positive reviews with critics, but for the fans, hated this because the controls are sluggish, the level designs looked unfinished, and finally the music is just out there and doesn't feel like a Sonic game at all. And it looks like playing a beta version that got an official release. The reason why, because Traveler's Tales were on a tight schedule. And that's the reason why it sucked. But I'm here to talk about it if the people are saying is actually true or not. So, is this actually a very bad mediocre racing game, or is it misunderstood? Let's find out. Let's start with the story. Yeah, there's actually is a story about for the game, believe or not. The story is Sonic and Tails are about to take a holiday, but Tails spots something while traveling. He saw an advertisement for the World Grand Prix. Tails wants Sonic to join the World Grand Prix because he's the fastest thing alive and could beat them. But Sonic first rejects this idea, which could have been a good idea because that would have made it much better, you know what I mean. But he changes his mind because he spots Dr. Robotnik participating for the Grand Prix and Sonic is thinking he's up to no good. So Sonic, alongside with Tails, signed up for the Grand Prix. The reason why Dr. Robotnik is signing up for the race because he knows where the locations are for the Chaos Emeralds, so he could win and destroy Sonic at the same time. Unfortunately, Sonic and Tails spies on Dr. Robotnik and knows about his plans. So Sonic and Tails set out to find the Chaos Emeralds and beat the Grand Prix. Also, Knuckles is there so he could beat Sonic, and Amy is also there as well because she knows about Dr. Robotnik's plans. And the race is off. And this story goes nowhere because once you beat the game, there's really no ending, making the story pointless. Okay, onto the graphics. It's actually good to be exact. The characters are very polished, the backgrounds are neat, the frame rate is good, although it lags most of the time, and the track designs are good for the most part. Overall, the graphics is great, but there's only one con to it, and that's the pop-ins, which could get annoying, but that's for another segment. Now, to the presentation. There are only 5 tracks. That's it. Like, really? You couldn't think of more tracks to choose from? Mario Kart 64 had 16 tracks, Crash Team Racing had 18 tracks, but for Sonic R, only 5 tracks. They could have put, I don't know, at least 7 or 11 more tracks, but once again, Traveler's Tales were on a tight schedule. So who's blaming? Anyways, you choose 4 characters: Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy. Dr. Robotnik isn't playable until you beat the game. There are also hidden characters in the bottom right corner. We'll talk about it later. And in the options menu, there's your typical musics and sounds on and off, the sound test, and loading your game. But there's one feature. You could actually turn off the vocals off. And that's a sweet relief, because we're gonna tackle music next. Without the vocals, it's actually good and feels like a Sonic music. Take a listen. But with the vocals on, well...
Keep the dream
Yeah, whoever decided to put vocals on must be high. Finally, onto the gameplay, and oh boy, what to begin with. The controls are stiff and sluggish. It's not bad at first, but once you come to a sharp turn, that becomes a problem. Even though you could stop your character by pressing the left or right shift buttons, you will still have the exact same problem. Oh, and if you want to know how to accelerate, either press the up button or the B button. But trust me, it's better to use the B button instead of the up button. Otherwise, your day will be ruined. And one last thing that makes it frustrating. You bump into things, like saying you're going fast, but once you bump into a wall or a small object, it kills your speed in a matter of seconds. You really don't know how frustrating I get when I accidentally bump into things. Like, the game cheats you. That's all. So for the levels, in my opinion, Resort Island, Reactive Factory, and Radiant Emerald are the only tracks that are slightly finished. The only two tracks I think that are unfinished is Radical City and Regal Ruin. I will tell you why it's unfinished. Radical City tried to be a take on the futuristic Las Vegas vibe, but the reason why it doesn't work is the pop-ins. The texture designs do pop in, but not the flat surface, and feels like a wasteland more like a casino level. And last but not least, the background doesn't even match the style of the level at all. It feels like a test plate that instead of removing it, they just put it there in the final because, like I said again, tight schedule. But that's nothing to compare to Regal Ruin. In my personal opinion, this has got to be one of the most unfinished track I have ever played in my entire life. Can I give you a reason why it's unfinished? Of course not. It's a jumbled mess full of nonsense, and especially this area. Like, what kind of a moron builder made this design? And I wonder where he is right now. Hey, may I speak to you? Sure, go ahead. Yeah, I'm looking at this construction site and I don't think this is going to work. Oh, come on, it's not like something bad's going to happen, right? Run! Anyways, as for the rest of the levels that are finished, Resort Island has a good beginning. Sort of. The textures of this map is brilliant. So is the water texture. However, there are sharp turns, but there's only one sharp turn. It has a ton of shortcuts to get through, and has a loop at the very end of the level, which I won't lie, they didn't mess that part up. Overall, first level is good. Not brilliant, but good. Reactive Factory is also good. A lot of multiple paths, and there's actually one cool shortcut, and here it is. Pretty neat, huh? But unfortunately, the other AIs know about the shortcut, so not neat. But I still enjoy this track, but not as good from Resort Island. Then we go on to the final track, Radiant Emerald, which is basically this version of Rainbow Road from the Mario Kart series, but it's locked. How do you unlock it? By collecting Chaos Emeralds. In every level except Radiant Emerald, there are secret locations except for Resort Island, which only has one. Anyways, you can't actually go to the secret area. There is a gate that you need to open by collecting rings. But good luck after you get the Chaos Emeralds. You have to win first place to achieve it. Otherwise, if you end up second to last, You have to get it again over and over and over again. This is painful. And besides, getting as much rings is impossible thanks to the sluggish controls and the unfair weapon items. I forgot to mention weapon items, but it's sort of limited and I have really nothing to say about it. They're just useless. Except for the power up that you can actually absorb rings. Whoop-de-doo. And another thing to unlock characters is to find 5 Sonic tokens. But luckily you could finish in race in 1st or 3rd place, so that way it could be less frustrating. Okay, the hidden characters are Metal Sonic, who is a robotic version and rival of Sonic, and you already know who he is already. Metal Knuckles, who makes its only debut of this game, but later became a recurring character in the Archie Sonic comics. Egg Robo, who you may remember this character from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. And last but not least, we have the infamous character of all time, Tails Doll. He is considered to be one of the most frightening characters Sega has ever created. The reason why is that he is a floating doll with stitches, has a metal rod in his forehead, and completely soulless eyes. Although it's just another robotic clone by Robotnik, but the only parts that is mechanical is his power plant. The rest of his body is made out of cloth and plush, making it unknown if it's possessed or not. Anyways, back to topic. The hidden characters you have to race are a complete pain in the ass, because they move too fast and you can't restart the race after you lose, so it's only one try and that's it. The only way to beat is by going through shortcuts. And don't bump into walls, otherwise you'll lose your speed. After I beat Metal Sonic, turns out he is overpowered. And I play as Metal Sonic from now on because he could jump onto water, making other shortcuts a cake in a walk. And second, he's the fastest character in the entire game. Sorry Sonic, but you're not the fastest thing alive anymore. For now. Once you gathered all of the Chaos Emeralds, Radiant Emerald has been unlocked. And you also unlocked one more hidden character, Super Sonic. You may be thinking, he's going to be fast, right? Nope. Once in a while, Metal Sonic or Metal Knuckles actually catches up with you, making Super Sonic a normal speed character. What an epic fail. But anyways, after you finished first at the final track, it just shows you all of the characters taking a photo with the Chaos Emeralds. Including Dr. Robotnik, by the way. I guess he decided to turn good for some reason, and no explanation why. But don't worry, he'll go back to his evil schemes again in the next game. After that, the credits roll and... You know what? Out of all the songs, this is the only song that doesn't have an instrumental version, and I kinda like it. Let's go on to the bonus. And the bonus is... nothing. Nothing at all. So the pain and suffering I went through to finishing this game, and I get nothing. Screw this game! Okay, I might taking it a little bit too far. I know some of you will like this game, but can you blame me? This game is unfinished. It feels like a beta test that got released. I'm just speechless. I'm just very speechless. Sluggish controls, some weird music, and finally, this game is way too short. Like I said, they could have put more tracks, but nope. For the last time, tight schedule. I give Sonic R a 2 out of 6. So, what happened after the release of Sonic R? Well, after the game got released, the Saturn was a complete failure and the planned Sonic Extreme got cancelled due to the Saturn's failure and multiple development problems. However, we did manage to get a real true 3D Sonic game, and that game is called Sonic Adventure. I will tackle this game, but maybe another time, maybe for the next review, or maybe a retrospective review. Anyways, this is GamerX20 and... wait a minute, what time is it? Oh god, I'm late for college! Gotta go fast.